Hi, everybody. I think there's been a lot of talk about this
Yeah.
North Side Urban Ministry Coalition. What is it? What does the word coalition mean? What are all the stuff that we're doing? And so
Yeah.
we just want to take a moment to talk about what the North Side Urban Ministry Coalition is for Bethlehem Lutheran Church right now. So, Pastor Bowling,
Yeah.
what is the North Side Urban Ministry Coalition?
So the North Side Urban Ministry Coalition is really the baby that's birthed from our Greater Things program at Bethlehem. Many of you will remember that program, but it's been going on for the last decade of Bethlehem moving outside of herself and her ministry here in Hyde Park and going to other sites, right, and doing some really good youth and family ministry. We started the better part of 10 years ago with just one site and doing a summer program with that one site, and we had since grown that to be that we were on 5 different sites on any given night of the week and in the summertime as well. And moreover, we were reaching not just 30 kids or 40 kids, but we were reaching hundreds of kids, right, all throughout St. Louis, right, on individual days and nights of the week. And so that ministry is excellent, and we wanted to continue the spirit of that. But we thought to ourselves, we got another problem. The problem is that there are many churches that are closing their doors, many churches that are shrinking, many churches that are having a very hard time exegeting the context and the culture of which they're living in. And it's difficult out here, right? And it's easy to be siloed and separated from one another and say, well, we're Bethlehem, that's not really our problem there, or we're X-Church, that's not really our problem over there. And we kind of thought to ourselves, Pastor Chris and I, what would it look like if we all sort of linked together, right? Instead of thinking separately and moving separately, what if we sat at the table together and said, how do we move forward together? Where you are strong as a church, how could we get strong in that way, right? And where we're stronger, how could you lean on our strength? And so we looked for some intentional partners in that to not only continue that great ministry of youth and family ministry that will still keep going strong, that's not going anywhere, but actually add other features to it. So one of the features that we're adding is childcare, and we began childcare here just over a year ago. And Pastor Chris, you want to talk a little bit about childcare and kind of what that's done in the program of what it is?
Absolutely. Bethlehem's the kind of ministry that we kind of walk outside of our doors and we listen to the community and we say, well, we're hearing these issues, we're hearing these problems. What can we do to address it? What can we do to help? And we know that within our community, within the North St. Louis area, really in the whole region of St. Louis, that early childhood education is such a need. It's such a critical moment for the children living in our community. I don't know if you know this statistic, but by the time a child reaches the age of 3rd grade, after they take their reading test, they look at all the kids who didn't meet their reading level and project that out to figure out if we are going to have enough jail cells for all these kids. And I don't think we were comfortable with that.
No.
I don't think we're comfortable with letting our children see the inside of a jail cell.
No.
And so we know that primarily kids, the earlier you can start them reading, the better chance they're going to be on target. More than that, more than just addressing the reading level, being able to engage families with a Christ-centered education from, what are we now, birth? From birth. And so last January of what would be 2024, we had the initial idea to say, can we launch a early childhood education center right here at 2153 Salisbury Street? And we had the kids in the door June the 3rd.
Yeah, it was
We
quick.
moved fast here. And the overwhelming support that we got for this started to spur the idea of, well, if we have one child care center at this location in the Hyde Park neighborhood, there's got to be more kids in the St. Louis region who need a place to go in that early childhood window. And so that spawned the idea of, well, maybe just not one site, maybe 2 sites. And then 2 sites will be 3 sites. And then 3 sites will be 4 sites.
30.
Right.
We never know, right?
Right, and we just never know. And so Bethlehem Lutheran Childcare is now on the road.
Yeah.
We're not just here at 2153 Salisbury Street, but we're about to launch a center at Chapel of the Cross Lutheran Church right on Benham Road in North County to take care of that area. We have more locations all across North County that we've identified to say there's children in need that need access to this ministry, and we're committed to seeing it through and launching more centers. And I think God is providing for that.
Amen.
And so if God is providing, why are we not going to do it? And we're going to answer the call of God to say, I've given you these resources to impact these children, and we're just super excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, and the same thing goes with not just our childcare or our youth ministry, right? But now, as part of the NUMC, our food program is really a part of that as well. So we have a food program here at our campus that feeds the kids who are in our educational programs, and then in the summertime is open to our community as well, and growing that to all of our sites too, right? To make sure that quality food is being provided in our community, and making sure that people are able to eat on a daily basis, right? Not only 3 square meals, but eat spiritually as well, right? And so that program is taking off as well, and we're excited for that. And then added to that, there are certain sites where we are implementing some worship details as well, right? And working with the pastoral leaders in that space. At Spanish Lake, we've been working with Pastor Greer and working with other leadership pathways to provide another leader for that space in St. Peter's and Spanish Lake, and to influence some pieces over there in that worship, as well as at All Nations Lutheran Church in University City, North County, right? To be able to work with Vicar John, who is an SMP vicar of Bethlehem, of our church, right? That is deployed over there. And I serve as his mentor weekly. We talk about pastoral things, but also John is really taking the reins on making sure that some stuff happens there, ministry-wise, that they're able to reach the University City community and go through what it means to be the church in that space. And so Bethlehem's kind of influence on those different spaces and imprint on those different spaces is seen within the Northside Urban Ministry Coalition, but we don't do it in a siloed way.
No.
We meet together with those leaders and those people in those places. At Chapel of the Cross, we meet with the leaders quite often, right, to make sure that everything is everything there. And then our other sites as well. In the past, we've had upwards of 5 different summer camps, right? And we're still committed to serving the same number of kids, even if our sites week to week or month to month or year to year change, right? To make sure that more and more kids from North St. Louis City and County know Jesus.
Right. And you've addressed it a little bit, but I know, Pastor Bull, if I know people like I know people, somebody is sitting in their living room right now or sitting in their kitchen watching this, and they're thinking to themselves, well, is Bethlehem just eating everything? Is this just the Bethlehem Pac-Man walking around St. Louis just munching it all?
We are not.
We're not taking it up. Can you just talk a little bit about how this is not a Bethlehem takeover?
This is not a Bethlehem takeover, right? I've heard that a lot too. I've heard people being worried about that. Bethlehem is not interested in grabbing or having more or being a giant multi-site ministry where the pastor's on the screen or anything like that, right? We're interested in sitting down at the table in coalitional leadership is what we call it. When we sit next to one another as leaders and we say, how can we figure this thing out? And how can we teach more and more people about who Jesus is and reach those individual communities? And we're committed to finding the talent, the people that God has already prepared in advance to work in those places and spaces in those different capacities. We're going to be looking for childcare leaders. We're going to be looking for youth leaders. We're going to be looking for family ministers. We're going to be looking for pastors and vicars and going to be utilizing our seminarians, as we still do, right? We're going to be utilizing other professional staff members that we have, people who work in finance and people who work in business, all different kinds of people. And you know who else we need, Pastor Chris? We need you.
We do.
We need all of you to be able to throw your gift, throw your talent into the ring and say, hey, I know how to do this thing. What could I do to help the NUMC program grow and thrive and help Bethlehem increase its capacity? When we work in silos, Pastor Chris, every church has to figure out its own ecosystem, right? Like, I got to figure out who's going to be the secretary and the cleaner and the this and the that. When we work together, we can say, well, how can we share some resources, and then what resources need to be at individual sites on the ground as well? And we can just have people focus more and reach people at where they're good at, right? And use people where they're good at as well.
Yeah, I think right now, and I selfishly, I'm so thankful that we get to be here at this time. I think we're witnessing And I don't want to overplay it too much. I feel like we're witnessing an Acts moment.
Amen. I do
Just
too.
an explosion of the church here. I think there's so many people that are just so hungry for meaning and something to grab onto, and just the craziness of life, and they're desperate for it.
Absolutely.
And we get to be here at this time and at this place and be a part of it. And I don't want to miss out on it. I don't think you want to miss out on it. And I don't think you should want to miss out on it either. I think if you have any fears about it, that's okay. That's okay. Jump in. All the way in. Just jump in the deep end. Come and join us. Come be a part of what the Spirit is doing here in North St. Louis. You will not regret it.
Amen. We can't wait for you to jump into the Northside Urban Ministry Coalition. Thank you so much for your time today, and we will see you on the ground very soon.